Hello, everybody. First, I would say today, happy Mother's Day. I'm not saying only just currently mothers, but I'm saying everybody. Because today is a very auspicious day. Saw the opportunity, maybe we have understand what is the mother means, yeah, even more deeper than usually what we think of mother. So that means today is very, like auspicious day falling together because firstly, Taranatha's Parinirvana day, and then we talk about the Heart Sutra. So the Heart Sutras, the meaning is the central meaning is about the Prajna Paramita. So Prajna Paramita means is the absolute mother, the absolute mother. And then this relative Mother's Day come together without Renji, So this is a very auspicious sign. So please, everybody, rejoice. So I hope this Mother's Day are better than ever the Mother's Day. So hopefully begin to the golden age going to start from this day. And also all the relative, the conventional mothers in this world, more respected, and not just only children, but also hope respected from the variety of the ages and people. So we can lift up the feminine state and the feminine quality. So we have more respect. So then we have more virtues, influence in our world, and also this takes us golden age rather than Kali Yuga. Okay, and then also I would like to very short introduction about Taranatha, and then because the Taranatha is a exceptional a bodhisattva emanation. Exceptional, I would say exceptional, incomparable. So those people don't know, I would like to introduce very few words about him. So Taranatha is mostly lived in 17th century and or 16th century and 17th century. But what is his special is, I heard very authentic lamas and turkus, different tradition, not Jonang. they're saying they read a lot of about lamas and their texts, their biographies, but they said the exceptional lama is they recognize as Taranatha. So that's really true, because Taranatha is the only person, he can speak, understand and fluently the Sanskrit, not just normal Sanskrit, but the incredible deeper level of the Tantras without any study and remembering Priya's life and Priya's language. It's not just a story, but he already translated and he wrote many things. Other people cannot do it. Give one example. He wrote that Dharma history, Indian Dharma history, he wrote, and even Indians have to rely on that, even today. And all of our Buddhist people have to rely on that today. As long as you have to know the Indian Dharma history. Isn't that is incredible as what is like kind of strange? That's just I can tell you one example. And then many lamas have many texts written, but what is Taranatha is the exception is he has 7 incredible highest Tantra Yoga lineages he holds, and he translates all of them. And not only that, but also all the Tantrayana, every different traditions, lineages, he made commentary and becomes source of everybody's tradition. They have to rely on Taranatha. So he is greatest and non-sectarian. All his work, he unconditionally he did for everyone. And we use today. And in his own stories, and he has secret stories, that is all incredible. That means he has levels of story. The surface level, he wrote story like normal human. I mean, it's not completely normal, but is many things are normal. And then he wrote more deeper of the story, and then deeper and deeper exceptional stories. There's a little sad thing is he cannot recognize reincarnate in Tibet again, so he have to recognize in Mongolia. So since Mongolia, he recognized it. His activities and the capacities made limited. This is, we can interpret it in many ways. The most obvious level or superficial level, terrible politics, that's all. And then if we think a little bit deeper, then we as sentient beings have not enough merit to continue Taranatha excellent like himself. But actually, he already told the future. He said, future, he cannot do this best. He taught all his future reincarnations. He taught, but he cannot do as that good that time. It's not because he become worse, of course, never, but the duty of, our merits. Okay, then this Heart Sutra is the one tiny part of his work. It's not about the best or anything at all. Why we choose this? Because I'm quite busy. I can't teach you many things. And also, we have short time. We discuss this, is good. Because usually people hear the Heart Sutra one way, but not this way. So that's why it's good to compare. That's the reason we choose today this teaching. But this teaching, I'm not going to word by word at the commentary. Instead, we're going to talk the essence. Why? Because many of you guys may be new for this. Many people will listen, even since something new. So we thought base and we thought introduction maybe hard to understand. If we talk in only level of what the differences commentary, only that part if we talk is difficult to make sense and related and beneficial your life. So first, I'm going to brief introduction of what is the Heart Sutra and what is the way of Taranatha explain, and the other ways explains what is the difference. Short introduction first, and then we talk some examples from the in Heart Sutra, and then we make question answer time. So then any parts, if you not satisfy or don't understand, you can ask a question. Today, we're going to talk about Heart Sutra. What does it mean, the Heart Sutra? Means the essence of all Buddha's teachings of Paramita, the great mother or the absolute level of the mother nature. So that's why is a brief version, the essence. What is the essence is, we talk about emptiness. So then when we say emptiness, we have to really be careful, try to understand what emptiness. As far as what I see is, when we're talking about emptiness, people are very confused. It's not only listeners' problem, but is presentation who present emptiness sometimes make confused way. So I would like to present as simple as possible and simple profound. That means, please, first, when we talking about emptiness, can you take that literally? Just say empty. What does empty means in general, and usually what empty means in day-to-day life? What does empty means? Just take that first. Empty means absent, right? Something's absent, we say, oh, no, not there, empty. For instance, if we say cup is empty, we're talking about there is no water or no milk or tea or anything there. But anything inside there, you not just drink, but if there is bread or vegetable or fruits inside the cup, we wouldn't say cup is empty. So that means we're talking about cup or we're talking about just empty. Just think about that first. Actually, we're talking about cup, not empty, right? Cup is empty or not. We're talking about based on cup, not based on emptiness. Based on cup is empty or not. We're talking about that. That means is something in the cup or not. So that means two things, remember. The emptiness and the basis of emptiness. Take that literally, that then help you. Then Tibetan tradition, the highest philosophy in Buddhism called Madhyamika. But the Madhyamika have a different sect, different philosophy. But boiled down together is only two. One is Ranton, one is Genton. If you don't remember those words, that's okay. Just say one is self-empty, one is empty of other. When we're talking about the cup is empty, do you think is self-empty or empty of other? Think about that for a while. Okay? And then just simple way. So Taranatha, his view of Buddha's teachings, the ultimate truth, is empty of other, not empty itself. The other parties or the other sects, they're thinking the ultimate truth is empty itself. Okay? In Heart Sutra, from the beginning to end, the main topic is emptiness. So then you explain empty of other way or empty of self. That is the debate. So Taranatha, he explained empty of other. He said, this is the right, the other one is wrong. Okay, now I'm going to talk about why is right and why is wrong. One is logically a normal humans logic, humans communication, humans language, how we use, determined by that. But the primary reason, in that time, the scholars arguments is they interpreted Buddha's teachings differently. Okay? So the Buddha's teaching, you can make 3 categories, or the Sutrayana, and then after the Tantrayana. Tantrayana is the most high teaching. There's no arguments. Everybody agrees. All the parties, all the sects, they agree. But in Sutrayana, I have 3 parts. First Dharma, second Dharma, third Dharma. So the first Dharma, they're not talking about emptiness. A little indications, but not, the main topic is not emptiness. The main topic is cause and effects, to understand properly. So we do right. That is the meaning, if I simplify. Or you can say the law of karma, how it works, and how we learn work better. But the second Dharma, talking about emptiness. And the third Dharma, also talking about emptiness. Then first Dharma, everybody agrees, is the foundational teaching, not a high teaching. There's no argument. Second Dharma, Reincarnation means who believes the ultimate truth is self-empty, empty to self. They believe that second Dharma is the most definitive teaching. And second Dharma, some of them believe partial definitive, some of them mostly not definitive. But the Zhentomba, the Taranatha's party, understand is second Dharma will is partially definitive teaching, but the most complete, absolutely definitive teaching is the third dharma. So myself, I studied the other way, way, many years. Then finally, I studied the Janton. Then I convinced it a Janton way. Even I have long habit the other way. So today, I explain the way is why Taranatha is right. The other ones are a little wrong. Okay. To explain that, the self-empty party, I think they're confused a little bit. Not just I think, but what Taranatha, he explained how they confuse. Because when they try to explain the highest Madhyamika, there are many things relying on the lower schools. Have you heard Vibhashika and Sotantuka? Which means the lower schools. They have to rely on many things, which means they think their logic way, their way of thinking. So that's the one of the reason they're going to wrong. Okay, they're not saying or they are agree with lower parties, but they have to rely on this. The reason of why they have to rely on that is because when they're establishing this lineage, teachings, the philosophical level I'm talking about, they didn't have one doctrine all the way to follow. So they bring many times together and try to build. So that's why they have to bring some parts at the lower schools, doctrine. Taranatha mentioned many things, reasons, but the one of the mention is that. The one of the reason, that's why they got wrong. And this Janton lineage, Taranatha's lineage, or I would say the Kalachakra lineage, or I can say today is the Jonang-Shambhala only hold this lineage. So this lineage completely relying on bodhisattva materials, doctrines. But why that is so right? Because firstly, bodhisattva material is 10th level of bodhisattva. But not only that, but all the Shambhala Karkis, their commentaries in this lineage hold, so therefore they are matched. Because Manjushri, Avalokiteshvara, you know, the material, all this together, rely on that. So that's one of the reasons they got very, very right. The second reason is not only just second reason, many, many reasons, but I'm telling you just second today. Because bodhisattvas, bodhisattva materials, direct connection is asanga. Remember, all the Tibetan Buddhist people, the story, they know the story, how asanga, 12 years meditation, hard work, finally connect with bodhisattva material, non-human, directly access. So also Buddha prophesies that asanga is third Burmi level, third Burmi bodhisattva, and he is the most right. His dharma victory, you know, that Buddha himself prophesies already. But the same as prophesies, he connected with the bodhisattva material. So that's why Janton is this lineage. So they don't need all this doctrine, then is doctrine, everywhere, all many things put together. They don't need this. They just completely follow the bodhisattva. And then the lineage is that asanga, and then lineage, asanga's younger brother was a Bandhu, is known as second Buddha. All of them, the line is all bodhisattvas and extraordinary panditas. So that's why Taranatha, he put the most incredible famous Chantakilti and you know this Buddhapalita, all of them, he considers as okay panditas, okay masters, but not excellence. So therefore, this is we don't talk we don't have too much time to that, but that is one of the reasons this way of the philosophy is so right. Now I'm going to talk about logically. It's logically right. Why? Because when we're talking about the three dharmas Buddha taught, the final one is the most definitive, this lineage understanding. That should be right. Why? Because Buddha's these teachings, three levels, is he go basic and then higher and higher. So that's his purpose. Why go higher and higher? Because those already have the foundation, then he go higher. That's why it's right. But if you put that the last one is not the most definitive, that is going to be wrong. You know, that's the reason. And then another logical reason, if I tell you, is if you put a self-empty, the ultimate truth is self-empty, means not exist. Because remember, empty means not there. Remember, absent. Absent means nothingness. You know, we have to understand. Empty means not. Empty means absent. Absent means nothing. Nothing or nothingness same. Empty and emptiness same. but especially self-empty. When we say self-empty, and then is there absolutely nothing. So then, if our ultimate truth is known as Buddha nature, if that is nothingness, then there's no purpose, like even taking the path of enlightenment. So it doesn't make any sense for anybody. But when we say empty of other, it makes sense. Why? Go back to the cup. If we say cup is empty, we're talking about inside the cup nothingness, but we're not talking about cup not exist. Of course, cup is already exist. That's why we say cup is empty. But if there's no cup, we can't say cup is empty. Same thing. There is Buddha nature. That's why we say the samsaric ego and samsaric self is empty, is not true. That's what we're talking about. Buddha nature cannot be empty. If it is empty, what are we aiming for? The whole accumulations, eons of practice. So that's why the logically, this is not right. So that means two things. Think about two things, two truths. The relative truth, the ultimate truth. The relative truth means what we experience now with our five senses and our conception, our body, physical body, the whole universe, how we experience now. That is relative truth. Why we say relative truth? Because it's just only relatively truth, because it appears for us real, but it's not the absolute truth. That means this is self-empty. That's the true. That's why the other party is partially right, because this is, yes, empty itself. So Jetsun Taranatha, no, it's okay, I agree with this. But then you say absolute truth, Buddha nature is also self-empty, then just fall in a same category of the samsara, fall in a same category of this illusion path, this illusion universe. So then there is no purpose for spiritual path. So that's why it logically is wrong. And if we simplify it, if there is no cup, why we talk about a cup empty or not? If cup not exist, the same thing, if Buddha nature is not exist, if I put that logic, and then the other party probably say, oh, emptiness is not nothingness. I hear that before. Okay, that means you lost your position. And you destroy the common sense. But if we destroy the common sense, is not the way of dharma practice. Because Buddha said, he not argue with common sense. He always try to make sense based on common sense. Okay? And that's why I convinced in Taranatha way. My logic cannot think the other one is right, impossible. If you guys can, then you are much better than me. So I rejoice. So another way, if I explain simple way, Taranatha's way Janton means all relative phenomena or conventional phenomena is self-empty. No essence, essenceless, only appears. But our deepest truth, Buddha nature, is the opposite. That's why I call other empty. Means all our problems, all our samsara, suffering, nature of suffering, impermanent, everything not exist on that, absence of that. That's why empty of other. And also not empty itself, exist eternally and permanently, unchangeable, never born and never cease. That's why you can say fullness, completion, the totality of all wonderfulness. But this only we access, we unveil, understanding with this all phenomena, the conventional phenomena is self-empty. You need that realization to unveil that Buddha nature. That part is very similar, the other party. But then other party, you have nothing to discover because you put as same category of the samsara, the Buddha nature. Okay? Okay, based on that, then now we're going to talk about the Heart Sutra. The Heart Sutra, the main topic, we say, we say Zugmit, Soramin, Dihimin, Dishimit, which means no form, no sound, no smell, no tactation, so on, so on, so on, so on. We say no, 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 no eyes, no air, or no, you know, all of them we go on and on. What does it mean? Buddha talking about, it's not really Buddha talk, is Avalokiteshvara and Shariputra talk, but is with Buddha's blessing. So that means all things we think is true and we develop incredible attachment, aversion, all of them say no, it's self-empty, it's self-empty, it's not never existed, it's not true. He basically saying that. That part, Zhentomba and Rantomba, no much arguments. They are agreeing. But then later on, we say, Zuk Tongwao, Tongwanyin Zukso. Then Taranatha, he's saying, this is the Janton as right, the other empty is right this way, the other one cannot write, he said that. Why he said this? He said, when we say the form is empty, which means the another language we say form is not true. Form is not exist. But when we talking about not exist means we comparing the ultimate truth. It's not saying in the relative level not exist. Even illusion is not exist. We're not talking about that. Then he's saying what means Taranatha explain. We see form, we can touch form, we can hear. All of them is, if we analyze it, is not true. Never existed. But instead, what exists is the Buddha nature. So, Dzokden means you can explain two ways. Form is empty means, oh, form is not true, not exist. you negating the form. That's one way. That's Ranton way. You know, that's both agreeing. And then also you can understand Janton way, the form has the samsaric form, but also there is an ultimate form. That's why in Kalachakra Tantra, we're talking about the form of emptiness. So that's he talking about emptiness. Emptiness, he referring this time, not the absent, he referring this other emptiness. Other emptiness means the ultimate truth, the Buddha nature. He say that is form. Form is a real form is that, not this form. Why the Heart Sutra saying that? How we know? Because the next after that we say because we say emptiness is a form. That's why we know. Emptiness is a form, is only you can refer to the ultimate form, the Buddha nature form. But you cannot refer the samsaric form. He said the Ranton cannot refer that. Why? Because firstly, the Ranton position, they claim all ultimate truth have to be empty, have to be emptiness. So then if it's empty, when you refer empty means this samsara form is not there, you can say that, but the other one, emptiness is a form, you can't say that because you don't have an ultimate form. Because you believe everything empty is self. That's why you cannot say this. That's why he's saying their way of explaining is wrong. It cannot be that way. It have to be in Jantomba way. He put in that logic. And some Rantombas, I think some of the Rantombas, probably they say, oh, emptiness is form means or the Buddha nature. But Taranatha says you cannot say this because your way is always have to be, you use the words with the ultimate level. You have to use that. He said the ultimate level, you don't have, you contradicting, you have form. But I think I heard other Rantobas still say, oh, this is the ultimate truth. If that case, I would say you are not Rantomba anymore. You fell into the Jantomba. So you don't claim yourself as Rantomba. Okay, that's all I say. That's not Taranatha said. That's I say. So what time? Do you know?
Yes, it's about 8:30.
Oh, 8:30. Okay, I think then I stop here. And if you have any questions, please not hesitate. Just say directly, no problem. I try my best to answer.
So if you have any questions, you can put them in the Q&A area on Zoom in your own language. Please don't put them in the Zoom chat. If you are on Facebook, you can just put it in the Facebook comments. Okay, the first question, I'm not sure I'm 100% clear on, but it's, oh, for the person asking, you can write your question in your own language if that's easier for you. Okay, the first question, Rinpoche, if we understand the sutra essence, then we are enlightened. Is that true?
You jump very fast. Yeah, so when we understand Heart Sutra, means there's many levels way over to understand, you know, like intellectually you understanding is only convince you intellectually, but doesn't transform you completely. So definitely steps of your transformation to enlightened path, but it is not, you're not going to be enlightened immediately. Yeah. So if you have a meditation experience, that much more convincing, but still you need follow up and practice.
Okay, Rinpoche, the next one's not about the Heart Sutra specifically, but it is, what is the Dzogchen view about emptiness? Is it Rengtong or Zhentong?
I don't know, because it depends on individuals, you know, like in general, Dzogchen Bas they claim they are Rangtongpa. 但是 so when I hearing their talking, then it sounds like not Rangtongpa anymore. So my problem, I see the contradiction often, not only Dzogchen Bas, but many other Rangtongpas. They claim Rangtongpa, but they sometimes appear like Jantongpa, sometimes appear like Rangtongpa. So it's very hard to know individually.
Okay, then there is a comment. I disagree, saying that Rangtong believes emptiness means nothingness, rather it means dependent origination, because nothingness means non-existence, which falls into the second extreme of Madhyamaka, trying to negate it.
Oh, very good. Very good arguments. That's good. And so Rangtongpa, there's categories, you know, and Gelugpa way and the others way. So Gelugpa way, yes, Gelugpa way is, yes, the emptiness is not a nothingness, because this emptiness is interdependence. Like a kun, the one side of the emptiness, one way you look at is empty, one way you look at interdependent. So this, when you see the Tsongkhapa say, if you see the independent, the reason you see the emptiness, that is great. And then you see the emptiness, then you see the interdependent. They rely on each other. That is a way of describing the Tsongkhapa way. Yes, I agree in that way. But the other Rangtongpas, not just me, but the other Rangtongpas, they accusing the Gelugpa, your view is a nothingness, because your ultimate view, the ultimate truth is a non-feminine negative. So non-feminine negative, they describes as a nothingness. So this is not me. Even not Jantongpas, the other Rangtongpas say, how do you say? Try to defeat in Gelugpa view. So what are you going to say for that?
Well, you can type your next comment in the Q&A. Yes. And we will keep the debate going. Someone's asking, they said that in the sutra, it first says emptiness is form, form is emptiness. And then later on, it says in emptiness, there is no form. Does this later seems to be related to Jinchong, in emptiness, no form. Can you elaborate?
Yes, according to Jantongpa, when we say there is, the emptiness have no form, then the form you have to refer to samsaric form. Okay? But if they say emptiness is a form, then you have to refer the Buddha nature form, the ultimate form.
For those of you who are saying that this seems like you needed to be initiated and it's a lot of difficult language. Rinpoche has several series on emptiness on YouTube where he's broken this down. That would probably help if you are finding this teaching to be complicated. But he definitely has spent hours teaching on that, and we put that all online. Okay, Rinpoche, when we say this word empty, does this word mean anything? Because we cannot name something that is empty. Is emptiness beyond the word empty? Is there something beyond empty?
If we say other emptiness, then is yes, go beyond just the other emptiness we referring to is Buddha nature. So that definitely go beyond our conception or comprehension of the emptiness, go beyond that definitely. But when we are negating our relative phenomena, we have to refer no more language of empty. Otherwise, there is no link, no connection with the relative reality and the ultimate reality. So that is very, very confusing. Is the emptiness means not empty, then is cup means not cup, a human means not human, dharma means not dharma. Everything just then becomes very strange. So I think the people, in my point of view, people confusing of that. You know, when you talking about Janton, then you can think the beyond, but when you negating the self-empty, then you have to take that literally.
Okay, Rinpoche, why does the Heart Sutra say there is no liberation, no path to liberation?
Yes, this also challenges the Ramston point of view, because they're talking about when we're talking about is no self, no form, no sound, no smell, is exactly same role, same take the same role for the, you can say no karma, no dharma, no Buddha, no path. You can say anything, any of these things. Buddha Shakyamuni never born India and never taught us dharma. You can, all of them you can say. Why? Because this is a category of the relative truth. You're not talking about that the ultimate truth. That's why you can put a same category, essenceless. But this is Ramston. But if you take that to the Buddha nature, same role as Ramstonba way, then it becomes very strange. But Jantonba have no problem at all. They are just totally different one.
Okay, we're going to go through a series that all have to do with Buddha nature. So Rinpoche, would you elaborate more on what Buddha nature means according to Shinton?
Yes, the Buddha nature means, Ramstonba point of view, in general, in ancient time, ancient Tibetans, the ancient scholars who established Tibetan Buddhist system, and they have, many of them believe the Buddha nature, but when you interpret Buddha nature, then you have different explanations. So the most, I agree with the Tolpopa Sheriff Johnson, his way of the Buddha nature. So that is the Taranatha follow. So that is Buddha nature, means is not just the potential or seed we have within ourselves, is the real Buddha, completion Buddha is within ourselves. So the others, they don't believe like that. Potential or just emptiness, empty or distance. But Antorpopa and Taranatha is real Buddha, innumerable quality already developed. So that's why we don't have to go somewhere. We don't have to find somewhere. We don't have to make something. We just need to unveil our dirtiness, our illusion, and then is we already there. So maybe that helpful for you, like who believes God. The God is within yourself. You need only unveil. Then you are God. Is similar of that. And therefore, some Buddhist schools, they don't like this because they think is not Buddhist. But why describe this? Because Torpo Sheriff Johnson, he ordered 10 sutras, 10 definitive sutras, and 10 essence of sutras, all he put together, and then commentary of all bodhisattvas from the Shambhala, all he put together, and he established this new view, and then nobody can debate him. Then he built the fourth council. He wrote a fourth council. There is nobody did the council, Buddhist council in Tibet, only Torpo Sheriff Johnson. So he established that way, incredible and incomparable way.
Okay, so the debate continues. The debater from earlier. If Buddha nature is free of samsara, can we say Buddha nature depends on samsara? Because
No.
if there is no samsara, it would be no Buddha nature either.
Why? Okay. Buddha nature never rely on anything whatsoever. If Buddha nature have to rely on samsara, then is Buddha nature also not better than samsara? Because all samsara is and enlightened path, even the paths, all of them is interdependent. So Buddha nature is or same equal, then is no better. Interdependent means impermanent, impermanent means suffering nature. So then you have to agree Buddha nature is suffering nature. That's the problem.
Okay, so continuing on this same thread, I am concerned that by saying Buddha nature is not empty of itself, but empty of others, we fall into the fault of that Buddha nature being hijacked by the conceptual mind. So it's just becoming another idea or an object. And it might make Buddha nature sound like the Atman in the Tirtika's tradition. Then what's the difference between samsaric form and this so-called ultimate form?
What is the difference? A samsaric form is white cannot be black, black cannot be white, and cup cannot be table, table cannot be cup. I cannot be you, you cannot be me. That is samsaric form. And the ultimate form is one is white can be any color, and red can be any color, and everything is complete and totality of innumerable quality. That's why is fullness, completion. The totally opposite of the samsaric forms. That is the differences. That's why I go beyond the conceptual thoughts, so you cannot hijack by conception. Even your logic cannot destroy because go beyond logic.
So Rinpoche is the other emptiness within the ultimate level. How do you realize emptiness? Is there some way or standard to measure it or measure the realization?
Realization is only a relative level. The process of realization, the degrees of realization, or on the path. When we finish a path, then that's it. You're done, and you are spontaneously a benefit for sentient beings forever without any effort.
So Rinpoche, how does the Jonang look at the Swatantrika Prasangika distinction? How are these viewpoints connected to Rangtong and Jintong?
Jonang Madhyamika point of view, we call it Great Madhyamika. So the Svatantrika and the Prasangika is fall into the ordinary Madhyamika, which means that they don't have full understanding of Buddha nature. They only talk about for instance, Chandakirti, Buddha Palata, or this kind. Okay, they are okay Pantas, but they are not the excellent. They are not the high level of bodhisattva. They are okay ones. But Nagarjuna different. Nagarjuna, he is a bodhisattva first level of Burmi. Yes, Buddha's Nagarjuna's his 6 praises talk more Janton view, and his 6 treatises mainly Janton view.
Okay, Rinpoche, from the perspective of emptiness, is the Buddha nature empty or not? If it's not empty, then can the Buddha nature be seen or touched?
No, Buddha nature is empty, but is not self-empty. Okay, remember that. And then what is the empty? Is empty of other, empty of touch, empty of normal touch, empty of normal form, empty of normal sound, samsaric touching. No, yes. Just remember, Buddha nature is not empty itself, but empty of other means samsara. Refer, simple. Don't forget that. Then you never lost.
Rinpoche, is samsara part of emptiness, since emptiness is in samsara?
So when we're talking about emptiness, you just keep in your mind the two types. One is self-empty, one is empty of other. So cup is empty of water, means we're talking about empty of other, okay? And then also, when I say this, I have to understand that many people misunderstand it. Oh, empty of other, Janton is not so great, just same as empty of cup or empty of the house. But that's only knowledge, like we're talking about the lower level of empty, other empty, okay? We're not talking about the Buddha nature. When we understand the Buddha nature, that is supreme, the other emptiness. This one is just no more other empty. So that's why. But the cup, if the cup is empty, then water is empty itself in that cup. But cup is not empty itself because empty of water. So it's same thing. Buddha nature is not empty itself because fullness, but is empty of samsara. So the cup and house empty, cup house, cup empty, all these things, knowledges, take it as knowledges. Then is easy to understand.
Rinpoche, could you explain more the lines again? Form is empty, emptiness is form, emptiness is not other than form, form is also not other than emptiness.
Okay, then I not talk about how Taranatha defeating the Ramthompa point of view, okay? That's maybe difficult for you more. If you read the commentary, maybe you know more. This is Adele Tomlin. She translated this and she has a book. So very nice. And yeah, she's very, very scholar and thorough, I believe. So I haven't read this, but it should be good and a good understanding. But I just explain very clear, just Jantompa point of view, what does mean. Form of Taranatha explain two ways, but I only explain one way because maybe easier for you. So what means so form is empty means you think when you say form, are you talking about a samsaric form? You think about samsaric form or the Buddha nature form, the form of emptiness? Up to you. But first, maybe you think that you're familiar with you, so just think about the samsaric form. Or samsaric form is empty means samsaric form is not true, not real. Think that way. And then emptiness is a form. Then you must think about Buddha nature. Because Buddha nature is empty of other, that's why I call emptiness, empty, but is this form because innumerable quality, absolute totality of everything. So that's why form is one of them. So the first one you refer to the samsaric form, and the second one you refer to the Buddha nature, then it's easy.
For those who are asking, I put the link for Adele Tomlin's book on Facebook, and also I put the information in chat for you to find Taranatha's commentary on the Heart Sutra. The next question is both about sort of relating emptiness to our world. One person's asking if you can hear and see emptiness, and the other one's asking if there's a connection between emptiness and the emotional world that we can feel.
Oh, that question I didn't answer.
One person's wondering if you can hear or see emptiness. And another person's wondering basically if you can feel it or if there's some relation to our feeling world.
Yes, you can see it, you can hear it, but not with this ear and these eyes. Okay? You have different way of seeing and different way of hearing and different way of feeling. I can't talk how to do it this very quickly. We need gradual practice. The other question?
Yes, there's quite a few. I'm just looking through them and translating.
I thought you throw two questions, no?
Oh, both. The first one was about feeling it, about hearing and seeing.
Okay.
The answer. The second was, can we feel it? How does it relate to our feeling world?
Of course you feel it. If it's the right path, right moment.
Okay, our debate continues. If Buddha nature is beyond interdependence, then why is Buddha's enlightened activities are still subject to cause and effect?
Okay, the Buddha's enlightened activities have many levels. What we can receive is a nirmanakaya level activity. So that's, yes, dependent cause and effect, yes, because Buddhas innumerable times, innumerable accumulations are motivated by bodhicitta. So that's why is come that category. Yes, this is the result of on the path and the and the past on the path. Buddha before enlightened. I hope that clear. Yeah.
Well, we'll see. I appreciate it because we have a passionate debater. So maybe we'll get some more great points. The next question is, how is it possible to understand the meaning of emptiness as intended in the Heart Sutra in such contrasting different ways, meaning the Zhentong versus the Rangtong, without seeming or being divisive or even sectarian?
Okay. I think the such different viewpoints is we don't see as negative. We see as a positive. Why? Because like forming this system and this philosophy debate is think about the science. Science discoveries how long took, how many centuries we developed the science, so it's similar. These systems is so huge and incredible work done in the past, the incredible dedicated masters, So that's why if different viewpoints is sharpen our mind, so we have free choices, which one you choose. So it's not such negative. And the sectarian is I think people have simple ideas, sectarian and non-sectarian idea, you know. So the Taranatha is the most non-sectarian. So that's why he incredible works, dedications he did for other traditions. So he cannot be sectarian. If he's sectarian, then everybody is sectarian. There's nobody in non-sectarian. But I think this, I often explain this way, sectarian is not your philosophy, you have to agree everybody together. You can choose your favorite philosophy and your favorite path, favorite dharma practice. You can choose that, but at the same time you can have respect to others. Why? Because it's just same as medicine. No matter your friend's medication is so good and so expensive, it's not necessarily suitable for you. So you cannot take that, maybe poison for you, but still you know that's so good for him or her. Same thing.
Okay, does samsaric emptiness mean that there is nothing eternal and stable, so we can change things and reach realization finally?
Yes, exactly. If it's not the empty, then you know cannot be even dependent, is independent, you know. So that's why you can't change, you can't do anything. But it is dependent. That's why you can change. Yes, that's samsaric emptiness. Yes.
Okay, so why does samsara dominate us if emptiness is everything and everything comes from emptiness?
I don't know. Is everything has come from emptiness? I don't. Everything come from emptiness. Maybe not the right term to use, but is samsaric dominate us means us and samsara. You know, us, this ego us, samsaric us and samsara is not differences. That means we are lost ourselves temporarily. Even we have perfect Buddha nature. We have or I am is different, okay? Right now we have Buddha nature, but we are not Buddha yet.
Okay. Am I right in my understanding that we cannot say that Buddha nature is empty or not empty, that it exists or doesn't exist? Exist and empty are just description words in a duality world. Buddha nature can only be realized but not conceptualized.
Buddha nature, we can conceptualize in like as much as we can finger point to the moon or sun. But when we finger point to the sun, we're not really exploring the sun at all. If we really explore the sun, we burn 1 second. Same as intellectually, we can explore as much as limit way, yes, but not fully. No possible and fully.
Okay, here's another check for understanding. So is it correct to think that the Rangtong view, we say that all phenomena do not have their own nature and that they depend on causes and conditions? Well,
yeah, that's correct.
Okay,
Correct.
well,
Even Gentongpa believe that the all phenomena means, as long as you're talking about some samsaric phenomena, then yes.
Okay, so then the Jintang view, we say that the nature of Buddha has no cause and therefore exists in itself.
Is not dependent on cause and condition. Is already full of completion. Is never born and never cease. So that's why the first question, I forgot one part. You can say Buddha nature is emptiness, as long as you remember empty of other. But if you only remember empty of itself, then better to say not emptiness. Okay.
Yeah, there's still a few more questions.
Say both same time.
Okay, Rinpoche, how would well, there's like 10 questions. I can't say them all at the same time.
Oh.
Okay, we don't
I'll
have
try
to do
to
it.
answer quickly. You said quickly. Okay.
Okay. Rinpoche, how would you describe Rabjam Longchenpa's view? Because in his book, The Natural Freedom of the Mind, his view seems very close to the Jintang view. What is your analysis of this philosophy?
Yes, or so many Nyingma masters, they are like Gentongpa. And some people, they even agree they are Gentongpa. Some people didn't say they are Gentongpa, but they appears like Gentongpa. And the Kagyupas also same.
Rinpoche, are the fullness and the emptiness two sides of a coin, aspects of the same reality that is really just beyond words?
Depend the form is you referring to samsaric form or the Buddha nature form. In Gelugpa point of view, there is no such thing Buddha nature form. They always referring to the samsaric form. That's why the earlier this guy is saying, or the interdependent with form, the emptiness is not just empty, is dependent on the form and so forth. So depend where you refer.
Some Dzogchen Bun teachers affirm that Rangtong and Jintang views are both correct, but depend on the point of view, relative or absolute truth. Is this correct?
Yes, this is correct, because when you're talking about, if you say that, that's correct, because when you're talking about Buddha nature, it has to be Gentong. You cannot be Rangtong. And then we're talking about the relative truth or phenomena, samsaric phenomena, we have to agree both is self-empty, cannot be is empty of other. Okay? So that's why is the correct. But everybody have to agree, in my point of view, everybody have to agree with Gentong, because even you try to, the third dharma veil is not definitive, but then you have to agree with the all Tantrayana as highest, and you come to that, then is 100% matched with the third dharma veil. So then you have no choice, even Gelugpa.
What can help to stabilize in Buddha nature? Does anything else besides staying in Buddha nature help? Like, is there some energy practice we can do, or a main practice or secondary practice that helps stabilize us in our Buddha nature?
Yes, there are millions of things we can practice on the path, but all of them works. Why? If it works, why work? Because we have the Buddha nature. That's the reason is work. But if it's not work, then we do in the wrong way, even has Buddha nature is not connected with that.
I'm not sure I have, Stefano, your understanding exact of what you're asking, but I'm going to try to ask for you. If we take self-emptiness as meaning the absence of a particular essence, so the absence of limited, determined, conditioned nature, can we say that self-emptiness meaning is not so different to the other emptiness meaning?
Very big differences, opposite. Okay. So the self-empty means anything we don't need, suffering nature and impermanence and interdependent, then is self-empty. But everything incredible we absolutely wanted and needed forever, that is, we can refer other emptiness, Buddha nature. You have to think opposite.
Okay, we're coming towards an end to the question and answers. There's a question, is scientific matter also empty?
What does that mean?
Like in science, there's particles in matter, they're just atoms and things. Like as you break it down, are those also empty?
Of course, empty. They are green empty, the modern science. They are green. No?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
And I think the last was just prayers that you give the transmission of the Heart Sutra. That is we've made it through 30 something questions. And the finale was that someone's aspiration that you will give one day the Heart Sutra transmission.
Oh, saying, do I give transmission of the Heart Sutra one day, you mean?
Yes.
Okay. Firstly, I would say transmissions, the transmission of oral transmissions, only Tantrayana belongs, things need. Sutrayana ones, you don't need transmission, okay? But if we have opportunity, we can read together one day, yes.